Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Chen from the Education University of Hong Kong, Department of Linguistics and Modern Language Studies. This paper is co-authored with my doctoral student, Ms. Tian Jingxuan. The title of this study is The Effects of Explicit Rule and Acoustic-perceptual Instructions on Chinese ESL Learners' Prosodic Acquisition of English Lexical Stress. Word stress has become one of the elements that English learners pay attention to because of its complexity and unpredictability. According to previous study, second language learners with a tone language background, for example Chinese, have more serious problems with English stress acquisition than first language learners. According to the reviews, two common teaching methods used in the ESL classroom. One is English lexical stress teaching method, a word-by-word learning strategy using analogy or internalizing teachers' explicit instruction of stress rules. Word stress rules are highly recommended to teach English learners English word stress, owing to the variance and less predictable patterns of English word stress. In L2 English classroom, English word stress rules, such as English word stress rules, tend to fall on heavy syllables with longer vowels, or when the word ends in two or more consonants are instructed. However, there are many exceptions to the word stress rules. Whether the application of word stress rules is effective for English word stress acquisition is still controversial. Phonological features such as word stress are not teachable because of the complex rules. Previous studies also reported that there is limited influence from explicit stress rules in the Hong Kong English classroom, and stress rules are too complicated for ESL learners. Another teaching method or another teaching approach using acoustic cues has been demonstrated to be effective in pronunciation teaching or learning. The use of visual prompts to support students' learning processes in language acquisition is well documented for both segmental and suprasegmental aspects of pronunciation learning. Providing visual clues to students to help emphasize word stress, such as underlining, using bold or capitals, circling, or using ticks may be routine. The main purpose of this study was to examine the effectiveness of two word stress instruction approaches, explicit rule instruction and acoustic-perceptual instruction. The short-term and long-term differences in English lexical stress production and perception before and after receiving explicit rule and acoustic-perceptual instructions were also examined. Well, that's about it for the part. Now I will pass you over to my student, Ms. Tian. She will present the rest of the paper. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Tian Jingxuan, an EDD student from the Education University of Hong Kong. I will give a brief introduction of our study and then report the results. 40 Chinese L2 English learners from a university in Hong Kong were recruited on a voluntary basis. They were divided into two groups. However, 7 participants dropped out, and there are 33 participants in the current study. 18 of them are in the explicit rule instruction group, and 15 of them are in the acoustic-perceptual instruction group. 5 stages are involved in the current study, namely a pre-test, 8 face-to-face explicit rule or acoustic-perceptual instruction sessions, an immediate post-test, introspective protocols, and a delayed post-test. The materials used in the 3 tests were designed based on the same structure yet with different words. There are 186 words, 62 from each test. The words were mainly chosen from the graduate examination records vocabulary. A production and a perception task aimed to measure participants' proficiency to correctly assign lexical stress to uncommon English words were assigned in the 3 tests. All participants read aloud each listed word in a sentence frame, "I said blah blah this time" continuously in a production task. The perception task involved the words as in the production task were shuffled in different orders and recorded by a native English speaker to examine whether the participants' perception of English stress placement was consistent with their production. The participants listened to the recording and indicated the syllable with primary stress. In the post-test, all participants performed a production and a perception task to evaluate the effects of the two different instructional approaches. The immediate post-test was conducted 1 week after the training, and the delayed post-test was conducted 2 months after the immediate post-test. Introspective protocols were assigned after the immediate post-test to investigate participants' self-reflections and comments on the training program they have attended. All participants received an 8-session explicit rule instruction or acoustic-perceptual instruction. Normal stress rules and how to use these rules or analyze syllabic structure, affixation, and vowel reduction to decode stress placement in an uncommon disyllabic or multisyllabic word were included in the explicit rule instruction group. The basics of Pratt, an acoustic analysis software, and used the software to analyze acoustic cues were included in the acoustic-perceptual instruction group. All participants learned symbols and pronunciation of English consonants and vowels, English vowel chart, and articulatory knowledge of English sounds in the first session. Then, participants in the explicit rule instruction group received 7 sessions of explicit rule instruction. In session 2, English syllables, normal stress rules, and how to use these rules to read an uncommon disyllabic or multisyllabic word. Participants learned syllable structure rules of verbs and nouns in session 3 and 4. In session 5 and 6, participants learned stress patterns of compound nouns, adjectives, long words, and words with different types of affixation. In the last 2 sessions, vowel reduction has been instructed. Participants in the acoustic-perceptual instruction group learned the basics of Pratt and used the software to analyze acoustic cues such as pitch, intensity, duration, and formants, and visualize the stress patterns of words with different types of affixation, compound nouns and adjectives, and vowel reduction. Let's look at the results of the study. In general, the accuracy of identifying primary word stress placement in the perception tasks were significantly improved for all participants from both groups. The ANOVA results were significant. The p-value of the explicit rule instruction group equals to 0.017 and that of acoustic-perceptual instruction group equals to 0.005. Participants' accuracy rate in word stress placement perception tasks in both immediate and delayed post-tests on average were significantly higher than the accuracy rate in the pre-test. P-value equals to 0.025 and 0.045 respectively. The accuracy rate of the perception task for the participants who received explicit rule instruction raised from 80.73% in the pretest to 89.88% and 89.06% in the immediate and delayed post-tests respectively. The perception task accuracy rate of the participants from the acoustic-perceptual instruction group also improved significantly from 77.48% in the pretest to 87.86% and 87.82% in the immediate and delayed post-tests respectively. As for the production task, the accuracy rate for the participants who received explicit rule instruction raised from 70.93% in the pretest to 78.5% and 79.05%. Participants who received acoustic-perceptual instruction achieved 73.58% and 74.95% in the post-tests, with 4.44% and 5.81% improvement, respectively. Explicit rule instruction group participants' accuracy rate in the production tasks in both post-tests, on average, were significantly higher than the accuracy rate in a pretest. P-value equals to 0.018 and 0.011 respectively. For the acoustic-perceptual instruction group, the accuracy rate was statistically higher in the delayed post-test compared to the pre-test for production. P-value equals to 0.038. Each participant participated in introspective protocols, involved self-reflection on their own word stress acquisition experience on 4 aspects: phonological rules, cross-linguistic influence, self-report, and self-observation. Phonological rules in the current study are conscious phonetic analysis and were characterized by the use of mental language. The number of the provided phonetic or phonological rules in the explicit rule instruction group equaled 59, which means that there are 3.93 phonetic or phonological rules per participant, while the number in acoustic-perceptual instruction group equaled 46, which means that there are 2.56 phonetic or phonological rules per participant. An example from explicit rule instruction group has been listed. The participant stated 4 rules: rules for compound nouns, compound adjectives, words with prefix or suffix, and words with 2 or 3 syllables. Cross-linguistic influence in the current study means the reports of perceived interactions between various active language systems. Reports of the phonological transfer from participants' mother language and other languages that they learned were involved in this section. Some participants indicated that their L1, Chinese or dialects of Chinese, influences their English word stress acquisition. An example from acoustic-perceptual instruction group has been listed. The participant stated that his or her L1 affects his or her English stress. Self-report in the current study reports the participants' general statements about the process of learning pronunciation. 11 out of 15 participants in the explicit rule instruction group feel that word stress rules are complex and cannot be applied to every word, but they will teach word stress rules or instruct word stress rules as supplement in their future teaching, or instruct word stress rules as supplement in their future teaching to help their students acquire English word stress. Self-observation in the current study reports the explanations of specific language behavior. 15 out of 18 participants in the acoustic-perceptual instruction group hold the opinion that perceptual instruction is beneficial, useful, and effective for their English word stress learning. Visualized cues have been provided, and they can know the gaps between their own production with the native speaker's speech. This study explored the effectiveness of 2 types of word stress instruction approaches: explicit rule instruction and acoustic-perceptual instruction, and evaluated the effectiveness from the learner's point of view. The effectiveness of the application of the 2 English word stress instruction approaches, explicit rule instruction and acoustic-perceptual instruction, was explored in the 3 tests in terms of accuracy rates. The results of introspective protocols show that the 2 teaching approaches are effective from the learner's perspectives. The participants who received explicit rule instruction improved and retained in perception and production tasks. The participants in acoustic-perceptual instruction group significantly improved and retained in perception tasks, but showed no significant improvement immediately after the training, but the improvements are obvious after 2 months. Participants L1 influences their English word stress acquisition, and the vast majority of participants in both groups stated that the instruction approach they received is effective. The two training approaches have significant implication on the word stress teaching and learning. Thank you for your listening. Should you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.